I will show you, I will teach you today, how can you take possession of whatever you want in your life. And what makes you see but not touch. Let's read it there. Deuteronomy chapter 34. Then Moses went up from the plains of Moab to Mount Nebo, to the top of Pisgah, which is across from Jericho. And the Lord showed him all the land of Gilead, as far as Dan, all Naphtali, and the land of Ephraim and Manasseh, and all the land of Judah, as far as the western sea, the south, and the plain of the valley of Jericho, the city of palm trees, as far as Zoar. Then the Lord said to him, now, who was God talking to? Who was Moses? Remember Moses? Moses was the man who took the Israelites out of Egypt. Moses was the man who opened the Red Sea. Moses turned the water into blood, sent the 10 plagues. Moses was the meekest man in the world. People rebelled against him and they died. When his sister rebelled against him, she became a leper. Moses. Who spoke to God on Mount Sinai? Moses. Moses. God is talking to Moses. So he took the people out of Egypt to lead them where? To the promised land. So what is happening here? They are arriving at the promised land. They are here. Moses was on top of a mountain, looking everywhere around. He would see what? The land that God had promised. He finally what? Arrived. He could see. But then what happened? Then the Lord said to him, this is the land of which I swore to give Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, saying, I will give it to your descendants. I have caused you to see it with your eyes. But what? But you shall not cross over there. So Moses, the servant of the Lord, died there in the land of Moab, according to the word of the Lord. Now, think about it. Moses spent 1 year sending plagues. He took the people out of Egypt. Then 40 years in the desert. 40 years. While they were in the desert, they were looking for this place, for the promised land. That was the greatest aim of all the Israelites. But here, finally, they arrive at the land, but Moses would not go in. The only 2 people who went in were Joshua and Caleb. All the other people, all the other Egyptians who died, who came out of Egypt, they died in the desert because of their stubbornness, because of their rebelliousness, because of their disobedience. The only people remaining from them were Moses, Joshua, and Caleb. But then Joshua and Caleb came in. Moses saw, but he could not touch it. Just like some of you see what you want, but you can't touch it. Some people see the kingdom of heaven. In which way? They see what it means to live in peace. They look at life of others, people who found peace, people who enjoy life, people who managed to change their lives they see it. They see it. For example, you heard the lady here saying she was a crack cocaine addict. But you can see her different. You see what God can do in a person's life. But many cannot touch it. Right? And why could Moses not enter the promised land? Why didn't God allow him to go in? Because there was a time when Moses disobeyed God. Numbers chapter 20 from verse 1. Look what happened there. Then the children of Israel, the whole congregation, came into the wilderness of Zin in the first month, and the people stayed in Kadesh. And Miriam died there and was buried there. Now there was no water for the congregation. So they gathered together against Moses and Aaron. And the people contended with Moses and spoke, saying, if only we had died when our brethren died before the Lord. Why have you brought up the assembly of the Lord into this wilderness, that we and our animals should die here? And why have you made us come up out of Egypt to bring us to this evil place? It is not a place of grain, or figs, or vines, or pomegranates, nor is there any water to drink. So, remember, these people here, they saw the sea parting in two. They saw the miracles that God did, the plagues. They saw what God did for them in the desert. God gave them meat in the desert. Their sandals that they walked for 40 years would not worn out. There was no sickness among them, even though they were in the desert. And still, these people, every time that there was what? A problem, what would they do? They would complain. They would rebel against God. Actually, there are some church members who are like these, right? In other words, if things are not working for them, they leave the church. And then when things get worse, they come back to the church. But if things do not work the way they want, they leave the church off. They are tourists. They are not church members. They jump from one building to another. Why? Because they are not happy. Not knowing that if they are not being blessed, it's because of themselves. Because we want you blessed, and God wants you blessed more than you want. If it's not working, it's because something's missing from you. So the people would complain all the time, in spite of seeing the testimonies, the miracles. So here they got angry again. Then what happened? Did I stop? Verse 6. So Moses and Aaron went from the presence of the assembly to the door of the tabernacle of meeting. And they fell on their faces. And the glory of the Lord appeared to them. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, take the rod, you and your brother Aaron, gather the congregation together. Do what? Speak to the rock before their eyes, and it will yield its water. Thus you shall bring water for them out of the rock, and give drink to the congregation and the animals. So Moses took the rod from before the Lord as he commanded him. And Moses and Aaron gathered the assembly together before the rock. And he said to them, hear now, you rebels, must we bring water for you out of this rock? Now, he was not saying, must God bring water? He was saying what? Must we? You can sense what? Anger. Anger. In other words, he said, In other words, he was fed up. There came a moment when Moses got angry, fed up. Then Moses lifted his hand and what? And struck the rock twice with his rod. And water came out abundantly. And the congregation and the animals drank. Then the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, because you did not believe me, to hallow me in the eyes of the children of Israel, therefore you shall not bring their assembly into the land which I have given them. This was the water of Meribah, because the children of Israel contended with the Lord, and he was hallowed among them. So here, God said, because you didn't believe me, Moses, you will see, you're going to take them there, but you're not going to enter there. What did God tell Moses to do? Speak to the rock. What did Moses do? He took his rod and he struck it twice. Why do you think he had to strike it twice? I imagine God saying, speak. Remember that rod that was used to bring miracles and so on. Speak. There may come water from this rock. But instead of that, he took the rock and he went there and struck it. You are going to see now. And why do you think he had to strike it twice? Probably he did that once and the water didn't come out. So it's going to come. And God did because of the mercy to his people. But we can sense what? The disobedience. The disobedience of Moses. And notice, this is the man whom God used so greatly. But still, God here said, you see, but you will not touch. So why are many people not touching the blessings? Because of their disobedience. I was talking to a man on Friday, a very intelligent man who came for advice. And he was telling me, Bishop, I'm sorry, you are intelligent, but if God is so good, why do we have so much evil in the world? Why did God create the devil? God didn't create the devil. God created angels. And these angels were created with free will. And they disobeyed. God created Adam and Eve, but he didn't make them robots, so he could not turn right. He gave them freedom to turn right, left, or go backwards. And still, Adam and Eve chose to disobey. Didn't they? They chose to disobey. When Eve heard the serpent, because the devil tempts, she could have said, no, serpent, I will obey God. I will stick to my decision, and I don't care about this fruit here. I'm going to eat from the other. She couldn't have done that. But she chose to disobey. When she offered to Adam, Adam could have said, no, woman, you are crazy. But he chose to disobey. David chose to disobey. Samson chose to disobey. And when we disobey, we suffer the consequences. For example, there are laws in this country, right? There is a law that says that you cannot take possession of what does not belong to you. Can I come here and open her bag and take her money out and keep it for me? I can. I can do it. Who's going to stop me? She's not going to fight me. I can do it. But what is going to happen? I'm going to be arrested. And I'm going to go to prison. I can do it. Can I go out there now, get a gun and kill people? I can. Who's going to stop me? If the police catches me first, they will. If not, they will catch me later. But I will pay the price. Which means God has given you what? Free will. It's your choice. If you choose to obey Him, He will bless you. Remember what He said there to His people. If you diligently obey my voice, then this and this and this and this, Deuteronomy 28, will happen to you. You will be blessed in the field and in the city. In other words, you're going to be above and not beneath. You will lend and not borrow if you obey me. But if you choose to disobey me, then you can go to the city, you can go to London, Paris, everywhere. You're not going to make it. You're not going to lend, you're going to always borrow. You're going to be always the head, the tail, no matter how hard you try. Because you're disobeying me. Which means your life is in your hands. And if you are not touching what you want, it's because either you are not doing what you're supposed to do, or you are doing it in disobedience. And that's when we suffer the consequences. So is it God punishing us? No, it's not God punishing us. We are punishing ourselves with what? With our own choices. Are you understanding? I am married for 15 years. If I choose to go out there now and betray my wife, is it God who's going to punish me? No. I will punish myself by losing her and destroying my life. I can have moments of pleasure with another woman. I can go there and think I made the right choice. But later on, when the dust settles, I will realize. But then it may be too late. She's moved on. It's going to be too late for me. And who was it? The devil who destroyed my life? Yes. But he could not force me to go out there and do that. He could only tempt me. It was still what? My choice. My choice. So, to serve God, serving God is not about praying 24 hours a day. To serve God is to live in obedience. What you know, you put into practice. Amen? For example, do you fear the police? If we have now 2 police officers coming into the church, and they stay there at the back of the door, like those ones are there. You see, some of you looked very quickly. Maybe you fear the police. Huh? If we had some police officers right now there at the door, and then I say to you, by the way, congregation, when you leave the church, there are some police officers there. Not only 2, but there are about 12 of them. And they want to talk to some of you here, okay? So when they call you, please go there and speak to them. What would happen? If you have what? A clean conscience, because you have been obeying the law, you say, that's fine. If you don't, you're going to start looking for where there is the closed door. Are you understanding? If you did something wrong, if you abused your wife this morning, if you robbed something, if you did something wrong, your conscience is guilty. And when I say they are there, you're the first one to look. Because you know you are in disobedience with the law. Is it true or not? And with God is the same. When you are obedient to the voice of God, you use your faith, a pure faith, and the miracles happen. And what you see, take the picture there. Do you have the picture there? The picture that I told you to bring? What you see there, and you are not being able to touch it yet, you say, I will touch it. Because I know what I'm doing, and God has to honor me. But if you have not been obeying God, you just hope for it. You hope for the best. You wish. But deep down, you don't have the faith to do that. You know, I was talking to someone, and she said, no, Bishop, my husband, he likes the church, but he doesn't come. And I said, why? Oh, Bishop. He says, he tells me when I don't come, he says, why don't you come to church? Go there, you need to go. Does he talk bad about us? No, Bishop, he likes the church. Do you know why he doesn't come? Think. Why doesn't he want to come? No, it's not offering. It's because he's living sin. And every time he comes here and he hears words like this, he doesn't like it. Because his conscience says, true, you need to change. And he doesn't want to change. He doesn't want to change. And if you don't want to change, you don't want to hear about it. Is it true or not? Because when you hear about it, you start thinking, oh, maybe. And that's what the devil does not want. So people who are doing wrong, they don't want to hear the truth. They don't want to be told off. They want to think. That's why they gather together with those who do wrong, because they want to think what? It's right. Because once you know it's wrong, there is what? There is a battle that happens here. Understand? But when you have a clean conscience, your faith is on high. And whatever you see, you can get it. But when you live in disobedience, you can see. You hear testimonies, you can pray, but you will not touch it. And unfortunately, many have not been touching because of their disobedience. Amen? So remember that. It's not about the size of your faith. Maybe you say, oh, I don't have a faith like the bishops. I don't have faith like the pastors. You know why? My faith is not the size of your faith that matters. What matters is the size of your doubt. Because if you have a big faith, but you have doubt, your faith is not going to work. But if your faith is small, but there is no doubt on your mind, because these doubts are removed through your obedience, then whatever you see, you can get it. You can get it. This picture that you have there with you now, you can take possession of it. You can. You will not only see and not touch. You will see and touch. But for that to happen, what you need to do? You just need to obey. Just need to obey. If you obey me, this will happen. If you choose to disobey, that will happen. Think about it. If your life is not the way you want, it's because you have not been obeying. And when you think about obeying, some people think, oh, you're talking about sin. We are talking about doing wrong. No. Maybe you don't do wrong, but also you don't do what you're supposed to do. I may be living free from addiction, free from promiscuity. I don't steal, I don't do that. But still I don't do the other things that God tells me to do in the Bible. I'm still disobeying. Are you understanding? So if I do wrong, I disobey God. But if I do what is right, but I don't do the things He tells me to do also, then I'm disobeying. He said there, ask and you shall receive. Knock and it shall be open to you. And some of you don't do it. In other words, you are a good person, you don't do evil to anybody, but you don't knock the door. You don't ask, you don't seek. You are disobeying Him because He told you to do that. So how can you touch what you want if you don't follow His guidance? Amen? Put this into practice. Examine your life and see, am I living in obedience? In obedience towards God? Yes, I am. So go and take possession of it. No, I am not. So get yourself fixed. Start obeying God. Oh, but I did many wrong things in the past. The past is past. Live here today and start putting it to practice. Obey God. Because all these things that you see, you will take possession of it.